Ladies and gentlemen, episode 50 of the Get Realisms podcast. Episode 50, you guys. I'm so happy that my host Christine is happy, even though she was mad the last 2 minutes of audio troubles, and it's okay.
I don't know technology
Just
very
be
well.
happy that we made it to episode 50.
50 is quite a lot. It's fun because I go back because I've been editing and marketing the stuff that we put out. And
Yeah.
The first one, we were like, it's pandemic. We don't know what we're doing. It's pretty funny.
I know, and that's the thing. Like 50 episodes ago, we didn't know where the fuck we were going to go with this podcast, and then also you were doubting yourself that you were going to be even employed last year.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna try to give you. Stand by. I'm here.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll just introduce our guest. That Christine just left the picture. Camille Gladney, ladies and gentlemen, on our 50th. Camille, what's up? What's good?
Enjoying my life, working with Christine on a short film currently for the Louisiana Film Prize, in between, finishing up post-production for Erzulie and moving into the future, closer every day to our dreams.
Boss Babes takes no breaks. None. You keep hustling, and I respect that, Camille.
I'm just trying to keep up with Christine.
And she's a really tough lady to keep up with, because once she makes up her mind, she just goes,
It is inspiring.
It is.
We're gonna see if this improves anything. All right. Maybe I can hear. Okay. All right. Hello, guys. Oh, let's see it for me. You might have to sit closer.
Yeah, I'll jump in.
Yeah, so we are doing like multiple things at once, like always. Yes. We are on the set of Oxbow, directed by Chad Hill, and AD, production design, makeup,
Nice.
costumes, hair, yeah.
Hair
So
as well, yes.
hair, yes. And we have our set. We're waving at you, Alfonso. We have our set luckily starting today at 4 p.m. So our call time is like 3-ish. Oh, hi, Layla. Yeah. And while we're doing that, we're also trying to figure out every single darn thing that we need to do to fix our project. Well, it's not fixing, it's there. It's just like clarifying our film. And because we have 1 day of pickups in Austin, Texas on the 22nd. So and obviously tomorrow's our travel day. So we kind of have to get all our shit figured out today. And we've already had 2 DPs like not have availability, like because of budget, we're not able to use our first DP because he's all the way in New York and we can't afford to fly him in and all that jazz. He's awesome, Joel Froome. So it's very common for films with no budget to have a B unit team. And that's essentially what we have right now is a B unit team. In fact, somebody from our film set, Grace Goen, who served as a grip swing type person, she's actually usually a camera op and DP often. So,
She is.
and she used to be a swim team and a swimmer, and so she's like, oh my god, she loves doing underwater stuff. So this kind of was perfect. She's going to get to shoot some of our underwater things for our pickup. So yes,
Excited.
very exciting. But it's been like a mad rush to get all the things ready for our 1 day of pickup on the 22nd, while also trying to finish a short film at the same time.
Yeah. And finish other things not included in the pickup day for the feature.
For the feature, yeah. So we kind of give you context. We have our first rough cut. Technically second because we had an assembly cut. Layla, I miss you too. Excited to see you. Layla, our lead actress for Erzulie, who plays Erzulie, is on Instagram Live. Did you say hi? 'Cause we're gonna see her on the 22nd. Yay! So it's pickups on this shoot is very different from pickups on any shoot I've ever done, because on this shoot it's not just like, hey, let's just like shoot someone's hand or like this is like, it's a mermaid, so it's very complicated. Just simply getting pickups for it is a whole thing. Like we had to put her in the 3-hour long makeup, prosthetics, ears and stuff, even though we're doing these little inserts and stuff like that. We were trying our best to avoid it, but because of the nature of the kinds of pickups that we need, we pretty much need to put her through the entire process. So it's so prop heavy that we're realizing, oh crap, our amazing prop artist Reese has most of the props, and he is in North Carolina right now, away from all his props. So we're having to cheat a lot of things too, and figure out how to not have the props that we actually have and still not spend money. So yeah, so that's where we are right now. But it's exciting. So he is. Can you hear us, Adam?
I can hear you.
Yes. So if Camille is our co-writer and production designer and also hair and makeup.
Well, not makeup. Got to give a shout out to the awesome makeup artist.
Yes.
Just did the hair and the wardrobe and
yes.
co-production designing and co-writing.
Yes.
Hell yes.
But yeah, and Adam's to be a character.
Yeah, stunt double.
Am I stunt?
I don't know if you know what you're playing right now. You're standing, and you're also the beach person, beach bum.
That's right. Yeah.
Still,
I
got you on the hook for that.
Yeah, and I am down. I've been waiting for this role my entire life.
Oh yeah, the beach bum role.
Beach bum, yes. I finally came full circle to my Bay Area.
You've been method for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, I was a Santa Cruz boy, and I'm coming full circle. This is a dream come true, ladies, and I appreciate it. Yeah, this is exciting, you guys. I mean, a year ago, did you guys think at all, like, on the scale of what Erzulie is and what you guys have done and shooting wise and everything, did you guys anticipate this big of a project to tackle on in terms of like a feature?
I didn't think so soon. I personally always thought, like, hey, if I were to do a creature feature or anything that isn't like two people talking in a house, it would be when I've established myself after having made the two people talking in a house feature.
Was it the same for you, Camille?
Say what?
Was it? I mean, I was just going to ask the writing process for Camille. Was it sort of the same in terms of like the scale and like what you're going to enter into in the creature feature world?
I had no expectations going into this because it was such a happy surprise to be asked to collaborate on the project by Christine.
Yeah.
I've had a lifelong love of mermaid lore and fantasy and art and just anything mermaid. So I was enthusiastic to dive in. And when we had doors open for us so quickly, as soon as Christine started pitching the concept, I was surprised definitely at how quickly everything moved and came together, and how it's less than a year from when we started developing the concept together, and now we're on the other side of production, finishing up production, deeply in post, about to have a progress screener. So it's wild how fast that it came together. And as a writer, of course, if I had had an entire year to marinate on the script, I may have made different choices, but also there are a lot of things that you learn from production itself that there's no way that you can know that what your physical limitations will be when you're just kind of spitballing ideas. And
It all because it all sort of works itself out usually, you know, especially when you have a very experienced director who knows absolutely anything and everything when it comes to independent filmmaking, and she and you know to just like muscle through the problems and work, and it usually tends to work itself out. Of course there's pressure and time and stress and all that, but you know, nonetheless, you still get through it. And I hope you guys are happy with
Yeah.
the awesome fucking thing that you guys made. That's such a rad
Yeah.
thing, creature feature.
I'm
You know?
so happy. I'm so proud of our team. And it's just cool to see how, like, this is not possible without the team that we have.
Mm.
So yes, we made a creature feature in 11 days, but like, I can't stress that this is rare. It's because we have a team of people who know who've been in this industry for a while and who have been working and have seen all sorts of things happen on set and are able to prepare for anything. And so, like, we're all MacGyvers. Like, that's the beauty of picking people who are used to indie filmmakers and not to like studio films, is that we haven't had the luxury to throw money at our problems. And so we've had to, on multiple sets, not just this one, figure out how to work around our limitations. And so and I collected a whole team of people like that. So maybe like one or two exceptions, but really for the most part, everybody knows that we have limited resources, therefore we're going to have to fix our problems through creativity, which I honestly think that stories are better. Some of the most unique and fun stories that are evergreens are because of that they have fixed their problems through creativity, which actually yields a much more interesting story overall. So yeah, I've heard that there are directors that force themselves to be in that kind of situation to see what kind of creativity comes, you know, kind of like a challenge. I can see why they would do that. It's just, it's so easy to throw money at your problems. I think that's the easier thing to do, you know? Hey, we can't, the water is rising. Let's shoot in 3 days because we can just pay everybody for 3 days that they're here doing nothing. And we'll just shoot on the perfect scenario. Like, that's so great. That would have been great to do that. And you have to deal with the headache and everything. But then to think on your feet and be like, all right, cool. This is what the landscape looks like. How can we reblock everything to use and enhance and let the landscape be very much a part of the story, I think yields a different kind of feel and look and, I don't know, vibe to the story. And I think it works for this story. So that's my opinion, at least. Yeah, I know
It
I drove
probably
you nuts.
improves it. Yeah.
well, I was just thinking when things start going wrong and you have to think on your feet, like she said, it forces you to prioritize what is truly necessary for telling the story that you want to tell, and it makes you decide what's important to you. And so in that way, only the cream of the crop gets to make the cut. So the best of your ideas hopefully are what get to remain, because you start to have to pare down because of necessity, because you can't just throw money at the problem.
No. And then to just constantly throw money at the problem, to just kind of it takes away from the artistic, I don't know, I guess integrity. There's probably a better word for that, but
There is also definitely a benefit to being able to. It's, I guess some people call it, some people see it as you shouldn't be compromise. You shouldn't compromise is always the thing. You shouldn't compromise. And sometimes I can see that if it's a very stylistic choice or whatnot, a lot of times details do get lost. in a
It's
film.
true. Or like if you have, it's the difference between being able to have 5 copies of a prop and 3 copies of a
Oh,
prop,
right.
or 2,
Yes.
you know, it's like, so you can, or being able to do more takes so you can get that finicky little insert shot or something, you know, like sometimes there are little things that you secretly are sad about in your heart because you knew that, oh wow, in pre-production we were going to have this and this, but we had to only choose one of our favorite toys because we had a
Right.
budget, you know, and so little things like that, but you realize that the story is getting told. And
And
I,
for the sake of the story, you gotta let go a little bit, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, you
You
do.
just
Yeah, and I
yeah.
think like if you produced anything, and that Camille has, you recognize that. I think people who
Mm.
haven't had to produce anything don't understand the balance between budget, resources, and creativity, and practicality, really. So I think that's the cool thing I think about this project. Why it also works is that Camille and I wrote this film. So if we had a problem, we could easily be like, all right, we don't have this anymore. Let's write around our problems, you know? Let's change this. But it's not the same on a set, maybe if I bought a script or licensed something from another writer and I have an obligation to stay true to what that person wrote and need countless amounts of, um, you know, permission to change something. This
Mhm.
is different. We could change it
Right.
on the fly. I just
We'll
wake
change
up.
it.
I literally stayed with Camille. We lived
Yeah.
together
Yeah.
for like a month on the John Schneider Studios, and I wake up, be like, Camille, like I think we need to rewrite this one section because like there's no way we're gonna have this, or this person is has a heart out on this day, and we have to get him to bring him back for the finale, and like, but the river's not working, you know. So that's what is the beauty of having your writer there, being such a very, you know, in touch with the and so involved in the story itself. So yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's a better word. I was gonna say like you sort of like adapted like your own thing. You know what I mean? Like when you get there, like it was a different thing, and then like you said, you took that entire month to just write it out, and then it's just like, oh yeah, this is we didn't think about the scheduling, and we didn't think about this, and we didn't think about that, and then we have to work this in. So there is a level of compromise though, don't you think? Like there is
Oh
a
yeah,
level
totally,
of,
always.
like, yeah, because like there's certain people, like I've even seen like, you know, featurettes and behind the scenes stuff like growing up on like DVDs and whatnot, and a lot of like there's so many times where I would see something and they're just like, yeah, no, this is my vision and I don't give a shit what other people say. I don't care if we spend like another $20 million because somebody can't make it, you know, or whatever. It's it's a little and just for me, even seeing that sort of like lost that magic in that, you know, the impromptu-ness, the spontaneity of it all, and facing compromise, you know, just to adapt and work around your environment. And instead you just sort of you just throw it to the wayside. It doesn't quite make sense, but you see other people and other filmmakers really collaborate, even like high budget, you know, features and stuff like that. They still treat it no different than an independent project. You know, they still adapt, they still, you know, work out the kinks if there are any problems, and, you know, just kind of get through it there. And I feel like you guys, especially with Erzulie, really had you guys like, and I mean that goes without saying, you guys knew the story like the back of your hand, so you knew exactly where everything, and of course like you have, you know, continuity and stuff like that to keep up and whatnot, but for the most part you guys are the Tony Starks of your of your script. You guys manifested this and
We
created it,
knew
you know.
every aspect of the film. We knew
Right.
motivations, and I think when you go into a film really understanding what your themes are and what the motivations of the characters are, then the world is your oyster when it comes to story, as long as you hit some of those major milestones that will help, that will transition. And so that's just that's the beauty of writing your own script. You have lots of control over it and lots of flexibility, and that is great when it comes to low budget independent films, where you cannot expect that everything's going to be perfect, and that even when it's not, that you can't just solve it through tossing money at it, you know?
No.
So,
And that's a wonderful thing, but also equally terrifying when you're in the middle of it. What people don't understand is when you're in the middle,
it's stressful.
it is like putting your body close to a cast iron skillet, like a hot cast iron skillet. It's nerve wracking. You're freaking out all the time. You're just like, oh God, you just wake up and you're just like, you just show up to set and then you're like, I'm great.
Yeah.
After 5 cups of coffee,
I mean,
I'm
even
actually
this
done.
like chill pickup day is nerve wracking.
Mhm.
Because it is a lot of people's times. We
Mhm.
only get one day because of budget
Mhm.
constraints. So we have to get everything that will possibly solve or make our film better,
Mhm.
you know? And so that in itself is nerve wracking. And we're just like planning and making sure, like, that's why these first round of notes were so important, and that we wanted them by a certain time, because we're literally counting on these notes to make sure we've answered all the possible questions our audience might have about the film that could take them out of the film.
Mhm.
So our hope is, so July 1st is our first in progress private screening here in Shreveport, Louisiana, Mini City. And we invited a good group. It's mainly filmmakers, people who understand the process, but a few people who are, you know, maybe interested in the story, writers and stuff, to come in and just give us a good look with, hopefully by that time, some music, our pickups will be in there and everything, and just give us a good feeling of, hey, are we hitting the emotional, you know, spots that we're trying to hit? It's always fun to observe how an audience reacts in real time as well. So like, hey, are people laughing at the spots that we want them to laugh at?
Yeah.
It's a good gauge as well. That's what I love doing, is going, being able to feel that and be like, oh shit, nobody's laughing. It's supposed to be funny. Like, that's a problem.
Right.
You know? So little things like that.
Especially with a cross genre, like we have some of my favorite films are a very unique blend of different elements. Like they're very dark, but they've got a lot of comedy in them. Some of my favorites, like Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands, you know.
Amazing.
And even things like Labyrinth, you know, Rocky Horror Picture Show, weird, campy, eccentric, got a lot going on, got a lot of different themes.
But equally doesn't take itself seriously.
Right. But like in the moments where tension is ratcheting up, like we want it to be tense in the moment. We want the heaviness to feel heavy in the moment, but we want there to be lots of levity, lots of fun, lots of energy, you know? So I want to make sure people feel that kind of big epic scale fun adventure, and not end up puzzling over kind of like, how am I supposed to feel about all this that happened? Like, what did I just watch? Like, I want us to have a lot going on.
It doesn't take away from the journey. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually watched the Goonies last night for the first time.
Oh, for the first time?
Hang on, what?
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, you shouldn't have. Oh my God. Everybody in the comments, light Christine up.
I know.
How dare you? I'm kidding. Peace and love.
So many people had alluded that this film makes them brings up essence of the Goonies. And I was like, oh shit, thank you. I should probably watch this.
I can't believe you. I thought for whatever reason, I thought you said you did. But
well, she kept talking about it as like
I know. I'm like, oh, somebody's a Chris Columbus fan. Wow.
Like screenshot, like visuals, cues of the Goonies.
Because we have a send-up shot that is definitely a Goonies homage shot.
Yeah. So
and seeing.
subconsciously, I was influenced by the Goonies without
Yeah.
knowing about it.
Right,
Well, I
right.
mean, well, it was just the I don't want to spoil it, but the friends in the script, the dynamic of the friends felt very
No.
Goonie-esque for me.
You know why?
But
it's
adult
probably-
version of it.
I think there are so many films that were inspired by the Goonies. So if I was inspired
Yeah.
by another film that was
You can hang
inspired
out
by
with those kids. You can hang
Yeah,
out
so
with
right,
these friends.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like the Sandlot,
love
you can
that.
say the
Oh,
Sandlot
yeah,
was like the Goonies. I love the
Sandlot.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
And I think you always want to feel like that with an ensemble piece, is that these are people you want to hang out with, because
Yeah.
I am highly influenced by being kind of a weird kid in a small town growing up. But thankfully, I had that 70s show to put on after school every day to pretend that I had cool friends like Donna.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I do the same exact shit with all like sitcoms and stuff. I grew up in a tiny town just outside of Oakland, Castro Valley, and it's kind of the same situation. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go home and meet with my best friend Optimus Prime and just watch Transformers TV show
Right.
all day.
Yeah, I just gotta go
Um,
chill with my squad.
I just gotta chill with my squad, my Autobots. You know, what can I do? I have to. I get that as well, because I definitely love those kind of scripts that kind of like, they kind of give you the perspective of like they're taking the audience in for their journey, but also like just as much part of the crew, like part of the friends squad, you know, and that the inclusiveness is it definitely shows, and I'm excited for people to see Erzulie for sure. But
Yeah, 'cause
and I'm
friends
excited to see it.
represent
Good
those
grief.
themes were huge, like were very important to us in this film. And like I've pitched this multiple people for investors and stuff like that, but like we wanted to make, I guess you would call it in the film industry, an evergreen. We want a film that you don't just watch once. We want a film that people create a cult following around and just have their
Revisit.
girlfriends and go hang
Sure,
out
something that
and-
has
yeah,
replay value.
replay
Yeah.
value.
Yeah.
So that was very, very important to us. Something that's very enjoyable and that will, last and
Till the dawn of time.
to the dawn of time. Exactly. To the dawn of time is exactly.
You want Erzulie to be timeless, and she is technically.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hope so.
Yeah,
sure
we
hope
hope
so.
Fingers
I
crossed.
just saw Christine just
crossed.
stare at me, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? What are you doing? Are you looking at the comments? What's happening?
I'm trying to
She's
share
multitasking.
this
Okay.
video.
I'm like, why are you not talking? What's happening?
Yes, I'm trying to share our video.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not used to this dynamic between Christine and I, you're not a fan of the podcast. I'm kidding. We love everybody, but man, Christine, I make this joke all the time, but it is very true. After 2.5 minutes, Christine just checks out of the conversation,
It's not.
and she just checks out, and I'm just like, yeah,
I'm multitasking.
yeah. Don't you remember that, Christine? You're just like, huh? What? Oh yeah. I know. It's just like, do you know what I said? Yeah, you said. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. You move on.
Whatever. No, I'm just making sure that people are able to answer their questions and see our lovely podcast. And I
See,
can't do
one
that.
person agrees on the Instagram chat. Look at that. Thanks, homie.
Oh,
What's up?
no.
She does. It is what it is, Christine.
Called out. Dang.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's not just a podcast. It's real life.
No, because like it's just like
She's very busy, you guys. She's very busy. You
I'm
don't
glad
even
Camille
understand.
co-hosts today's episode. Thank God. Christine is just like in the shadows.
She thought she didn't frame herself centered.
No, she's just like halfway outside of frame, like always.
I'm trying to relocate it.
Have we done an hour? It feels like we're almost at an hour.
Probably about there. Let me see. We're not. We're about 32 minutes in.
Wait, what? Are we?
Yeah, so I guess if you want to, we do have the co-writer. We can go back and talk about like the writing process, like how I've never asked.
Yes.
I never asked how you like actually felt about it. I've always
Wait, am I crazy?
you-
Camille, you've been on the
doing it
pod before, right?
I have not been on the podcast before. No, I have done some live videos and
For
such.
whatever reason, I thought we talked about writing with Christine in an earlier episode. I didn't know that. Okay, yeah, let's talk about it. I'm excited.
Will you guys get your questions organized while I play costume designer in the background for just a second for
Oh,
Oxbow?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She's also double dutying right now. So
yeah, we gotta, she got to work, ladies and gentlemen.
yes, we have a call time in a few hours. That's why. But the story is Camille and I worked on a short film in 2016. Right? Yeah, importance of sex education by Lori Elizabeth Powers was the director and writer, and Camille was the hair and makeup person. And oh yes, the film is, sorry, somebody asked on IG, is the film ready yet? It is not. We are finished with the first rough cut of it, and there's a private in progress screening on July 1st in Shreveport and Mini City. But the film itself will probably not come out until next year. We're trying to hit a deadline of August because that's when the first the Sundance is one of the first festival deadlines, and we want to open in one of these big festivals and create a lot of buzz, and then get a lot of leverage and sell our films for millions and millions of dollars and become rich and famous and throw money at our problems. So that's the long story short. But anyway, back to how I met Camille. So she worked as a hair and makeup artist on that project. And I didn't think much about, I AD lots of things. And I was like, oh, we finished the film. She was very nice. We had no problems. And then like 2 years later, I get a phone call from actually Jennifer. Not even from you. Well, you both were on the phone call, right? Like,
Yeah, no, I emailed you first. Like, I sent you a query email, basically.
And it was basically like, hey, we're interested in making our own film for the film prize. Like, do you have any advice? Type thing. I was like, yeah, lots. So we jumped on the call and kind of gave my 2 cents about like how to make a film and what you need and all that stuff, and then jumped off, and then realized that they were also considering me to co-direct. And that's how we ended up co-directing our first project called Gloria. And that was a fun ride. And I think one of the things that I quickly realized about Camille is her exceptional talent for writing. Yes. And so where I lack, I'm very good for the most part, when it comes to like technical and understanding, like, hey, I need to get to A to B, B to C, B to, type thing. And these are the big picture ideas. But when it comes to the nuances and the details of why and character and stuff, Camille is definitely stronger when it comes to that aspect.
It's like Christine the canvas, Camille the painter.
Yes.
The artist.
Yes.
But it takes two to tango, ladies and gentlemen.
It really does. You can't just paint on the walls.
Nope, you can't. You need help. You need help.
They don't let you do that.
No, you can't do that. Pretty sure it's illegal.
We had actually been collaborating already before that. I was supposed to shoot a feature last year en route, remember? And I had been working with Camille on notes for my script for en route. And obviously we decided that
but you were there for the shoot too, right?
Yeah, I PA'd on the short.
As well. And then I think from that experience, I had a possible opportunity of like, hey, if we just make something that sells, let's try to write a Christmas film, a thriller film, and some other like selling, like something you would sell to Hallmark or sell to like Lifetime. So we started collaborating on a Christmas script that we still have, and then
do you really?
Script. Yeah. And then we
kind of want to read it.
Literally, that was what we were working on before Erzulie. Like we were like, all right, you know what? Nobody wants to give us money to make our real films that we want to make. Like, why don't we just make a better written version of what people are buying on Hallmark. And like,
Oh, right.
actually,
Yeah.
I joked with Camille that like we would write such a great script because we were just better like we know a lot of we're good screenwriters that we would just suddenly be known for Hallmark films, even though like that has nothing to do with what we want to do, you know.
No.
Yeah, so we have the script and then we paused it because Erzulie fell into our lap, and I was like, Camille, this is a much cooler project. You want to do this instead?
I was like, yes.
Like, thank God.
Right, please don't make me write this Christmas script anymore.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, boy, oh boy, those Lifetime Christmas movies, you guys. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, listen, even on a good trip, those are not the movies sometimes. But
I like watching Hallmark Christmas.
there's
movies,
some that are good, I will say, because I do partake in the Lifetime Christmas movies every single year because my sister and I just absolutely just get blasted and watch some Christmas movies, and we love it. But we often go back to the old Christmas movies that we love as well, that we actually take seriously. But
right?
there's those Lifetime Christmas movies that I'm just like, oh, you're stealing from this, and then you're stealing from that, and then also this
has no money, but
this was the same movie last year.
Hot dude with money.
Exactly. It was the same fucking story last year too. It was just like, you know, a woman is alone for Christmas. You know, it's just like, come on,
solve that problem.
Yeah. And then you know,
but it's just the mindlessness of it. Sometimes you just need something to just like be mindless about and know that like, hey, like it's just surfacey.
And anime is my mindless. Yes, I get it.
Yeah. Turns out that asking me to write something mindless is
actually harder.
Is actually an existential crisis in the making for me as a person. I'm just like, can't do it. Ethics.
It is. Yeah, because the cringe is just like it like wrinkles your heart in a way. It hurts.
It does hurt. There are a lot of for as much challenge that Erzulie involved writing and logistics and production, there's a special kind of pain that comes with trying to write a Lifetime or Hallmark kind of script that is different and still hurts a lot.
Yeah, I bet. Well, luckily you guys didn't go forward with the Christmas movie.
We didn't, but you know.
But never say never. I mean,
it's written if anybody wants it.
It's still a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
It might be one of those things. I'm always trying to morph and kill two birds with one stone.
All the time, even with this
might
podcast.
Be something that just like we just happen to have an opportunity. We see a location and like, hey, we can do it for cheap. Let's do it. You know, why not? Yeah. I find each opportunity to be like a practice thing. You know, like every opportunity. Just kind of just say, especially in where we are in our careers, where we're trying to get to. I think we just need stuff under our belt, you know, and to practice and be like, yeah, we've done that too. And
of course, as a writer, you want to write in a lot of different genres and have something available for any genre that someone could want to see some speculative material in. Even
cross genres too, you know. I mean, there's this article I read somewhere where like I might be butchering it, but it was like the New York Times, and I don't even pay attention to this shit, but it just like it caught me off guard because like it said something about the film industry, and it was just like basically every single studio in LA is looking for spec scripts, and they have no spec scripts whatsoever, and there's no filmmakers coming in to even pitch these movies, and I'm just like, hang on a second, that doesn't make any fucking sense because it like you guys are churning out movies left and right. So why are you guys are now short in creativity and content creation? That doesn't make sense. But also what I found particularly interesting is that the people have just known that there's this cookie cutter way of writing movies. So they rather do that and they never get those scripts made because they're so fucking predictable. They're Christmas Lifetime movies essentially, you know, but millions and millions and millions of dollar budget.
I think
Which doesn't make sense.
It's supply and demand, right? It always comes down to that.
We
And
need a
when it comes to
Transformers
just
19. Supply
So
and
what?
demand.
It always comes down to supply and demand. And you have to understand who is funding projects, right? It's a business. And like any other, it's always like this, even with startups and everything. People want to invest in the sure done deal. And it's been proven that Christmas movies and a certain movie written with a certain formula sells, right? And so if you want to be an investor, it's a numbers game to you. You would rather take the less risky deal and invest in the content that you know is going to give you X amount of return than invest in this alternative, crazier idea that could very much fail if it doesn't work because it's not a proven thing, you know? And so I understand that because of that, that's why we have a slew of the same thing.
Because
people
these
watch it.
yeah, and they want to follow where the money's going, and they're going to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes guts to be an investor that invests in something that has never been done before, to invest in something that, hey, I believe in that person or that team, even though you have a feminist killer mermaid movie. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that's nuts. You know, it's much easier to be like, oh, okay, you have a rom-com Hallmark Christmas movie. All right, I can see that selling every Christmas, and that's going to be about X amount of money per this. I'm going to get my return back in three years. You know, so that's the balance. That's the hard part is, and I think in this process, that's the part I'm learning the most about is how do you balance and talk to the investor who that is a more lucrative and more interesting deal than and then convincing them on this new risky ass idea that you really believe in, you know? So
but it's a dope ass idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
Just saying.
So that's been the interesting experience. But it's every artist like that. Like, I mean, if you go in the direction of that, you want to be a work for hire writer, I'm sure you're going to get plenty of people being like, here's my script that like is going to go sell to wherever. And like, can you just like make it doctor up or whatever? So it's principles, I guess. Like if it's, I will never, and never is a strong term. I don't think I'll ever make a, what is it called? A slasher film. That's just not my thing. Somebody asked what
a spec script. So speculative script means a script that is written on speculation. It means it is just an idea that came out of your brain that you wanted to write. Nobody has offered you any money to write it. It's not commissioned. You're just writing it on speculation because you think that it's a good idea and it will make a fun movie.
Yeah. And that you might be able to get paid to sell it.
Mm-hmm. So spec scripts is basically without anybody querying you sending out your original ideas to different companies to try to see if they are interested.
And capitalize original.
Original, yeah, definitely not an adaptation of any.
No, yeah, you were not making Fast and Furious 39, you know, exactly. So it's a complete
most people
original.
Write spec scripts.
Yeah. If you're working on a screenplay as an indie writer, you're probably working on a spec screenplay.
Yeah. So,
that's how we write all our scripts in India.
Yeah. Most people, it is spec.
Yeah, just original coming from you.
Yeah.
Seeing just what you can make of it.
In the studio system here, there are definitely writers for hire that are on a roster where they're being commissioned to write a certain idea. It's not their idea. It's, you know, hey, I need a script that has two characters. This person's from Mexico, this person's blah, and they go through these things, write it. That would not be, and here's payment for your written work. Mm-hmm. That would be like a commission script versus a spec script.
Yeah, or a contract, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
you get paid only in India itself. So, yeah, so you are essentially writing spec scripts. So
Yeah.
but yeah. So the writing process on this, what have you learned the most from it, or like what do you enjoy about it, or do you identify yourself more as a writer or as a director? Because Camille also directs, if you didn't know that.
That's
I do
right.
also direct, and I feel like my experience and expertise is much stronger in writing. Clearly, it's just a matter of fact. I co-directed the short Gloria with Christine in 2018, my very first time. And then I solo directed with Christine as my trusty first AD, another short called St. Esther Day in 2019, also for the Film Prize. And I learned a lot on both those experiences. I felt like a rookie and like I made lots of mistakes directing on both of those experiences. So I do dream of a chance of getting another shot at directing something and doing a better job, try again. But I love writing. Writing is something that I could do for the rest of my days and be very satisfied with it. Exploring different genres, writing things for people to just go off into the world with. So I don't have to be married to my material like that and only direct the things that I write. I would love to write for other people. But I think we learned a lot about just co-writing, and just what our co-writing best practices are, because I think every group is going to be different, and however many writers you have is going to have a different style. But
I have a funny story about it.
I think we're probably gonna tell the same story. Yeah, let's talk about that. No, we learned what
really
works for us.
What didn't work.
Is it the Christmas Day story?
No. So this is why I learned really quickly. So there was so we were on right now. Celtics has this is not a commercial for Celtics, but we just happened to be on Celtics because you can collaborate, and it's almost like a Google Share Doc, but with Celtics. Right. And I was at that point in Hawaii and like itching to.
This is the Christmas Day.
It is?
Story.
Oh, okay.
Because Christine always forgets about major holidays where like some people might not be working on those days, but it's like Christine's one day off or something. But anyway, you go ahead.
If it was up to Christine, she would probably forget her own birthday too.
And I get this like, did you touch the script? Why is the page count different? Please do not touch the script till I finish, because the page count is changing as I'm trying to write, and it's driving me up the wall. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. So yes, that's the story that I was gonna tell too. Like, I am like, it's like I'm working to a New Year's Eve deadline in 2020, and it is like December 25th. I'm trying to finish the first draft of the script
on Christmas.
And I have not. Yes. So for me, it's just like, I'm working on Christmas Day to try to get this script finished. It is down to the very finale stuff where I'm taking everything that I've written and tying up every loose end. It is very slow going and very stressful for me. And then I'm working until like late in the morning. One night I go to sleep. Here. I wake up the next morning and the page count has changed by like 5 pages, and I'm like, what?
What did you do?
And I'm like trying to find where something changed, and I'm just like, Christine, what did you do? And she's like, I just made some cuts. They're just, it wasn't necessary. I was just cutting some fat. And I'm like, but where? Like, and what did you cut? What words did you cut? Because I have to know, like, if I'm trying to make a callback to a joke that happened on page 20, but you cut it, now I'm writing pointless dialogue. And
so the punchline doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And I'm trying to explain to other people, I'm just like, am I crazy for losing my mind over this? I'm not crazy. She's crazy. Like,
she's out of her mind.
It's like if she had strolled into Colby Dolar's editing bay in his barn when he was trying to do assembly cuts for us, and just moved in instead of being like, I'm just gonna do a little thing here and here. Like, don't worry. Like, I'm just doing a little something. And I'm just
I'm
like,
testing you, Colby.
I haven't even finished the first draft. You have to let me at least finish the draft before you start editing it. Like, I am not being unreasonable. It's Christmas Day. You need to go do something.
You need to go
Like,
chill the fuck out.
yeah,
right
like
now.
go find something to do, and I will tell you when I'm done.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go into Hawaii.
It's like, you're in fucking Hawaii. Do something else.
I know. I know.
I'm in Shreveport working on Christmas for you.
I was like, I guess I need to go sightsee because
Right.
I clearly can't work on anything. So I just
Right.
let me go see what's in Hawaii to hang out with.
Like, yeah, that I would do.
It's like, hey,
would
Christine, do you know what
strongly-
day it is?
yeah.
Yeah, it's the
I
25th.
strongly advise you.
The 25th, I think. What is it? A
Yeah.
Wednesday?
Yeah, is it a Wednesday? Oh, is it Friday? Oh, I can't believe it's Monday. It's just like, no, it's Christmas. Oh, well, okay.
Usually that's what happens. I'll set meetings and stuff, and I get like 3 emails. Be like, guess what? That's Easter. I'm like, oh,
Right.
people celebrate
Right.
that.
Well, does
Some.
do we need to push it by an hour? Or 30 minutes?
Once you have
Can we do it at night then?
Yeah, once
Yeah.
you have you 30 minutes of your Easter, then we can keep going, right?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, we found so that was a big learning thing is
That's
that
funny. It was the same thing.
right. Yeah, that was the major funny story. But also was that like we just have very different voices when we write as well. And for me, for a script to feel cohesive, like I will take all of her notes. You know, it's like I will make any change that she wants me to change because she's the one who brought the idea, said, let's do this. You know, like unless I think that it's very unreasonable, I will make my case for why I would argue against it. But at the end of the day, like I'm going to make the changes that she wants me to make. But it's much easier if she just gives me all of her notes and all of her feedback and lets me, you know, take that and just like process that and figure out a way to make it all work in the script. Because what I've found is unless you're working with experts who are experts in the exact field that you have a problem in, a lot of people are able to tell you what doesn't work, but they might not be able to tell you exactly how to fix it, especially with script writing, because there's so many things at play that it's good for me to just know what the problems are. And it's just tell me everything that you don't like and I'll fix it. But
Go on from there.
when we tried to like both work simultaneously on the same scripts and the same draft, like it felt there was a lack of cohesion. So we worked our process out, and now I feel like we have a process that we know that we can work with, and it makes it more fluid. But we definitely
We're very
found
different, too.
our process during the process.
Because I'm a very hands-on person, as you wouldn't know.
Are you?
I'm always touching things.
And I'm like, quit touching things.
Yeah, Kelly is like
Stealing
"Stop it,
snacks.
stop doing things." I'm like, I took a picture. It doesn't matter. It's my
You set your phone, you set your drink on a hot set. Yeah, it's fine.
And I'm extremely hands-on.
You in the
today.
camera department.
Yeah, I touch everything.
Just
I'm like, I can pull focus like right now. Yeah, like
Then just let it be here instead.
right. And then you leave your car keys, and then we wrap everything up. We wrap out of that location, and it's like, where's my keys? Where's my keys? Where's my keys? And then it's like 45 minutes of a treasure hunt to find Christine's keys. But I wanted to ask for the writing process for you guys. Did you find like having like, because you guys weren't always at the same place, so did you guys like have meetings like on like during this writing process, and you just like had phone calls and just
what this is right now is also a meeting.
well, right,
We
yeah,
wanted
fair
to
enough.
make sure we had the podcast time, but like we're meeting, for example, on ways to fix our script through ADR, so that's writing as well. So no, it was constant, lots of meetings, so many. Yeah, another funny story is I'm highly allergic to cats.
And I have too.
And she has to, and we've calculated that it's about 1 hour before I start dying.
In my house.
In her house, even though I've taken Zyrtec and everything. Literally at 1 hour. I'm like, all right.
Because she loves my cats, for the record, you
I
know,
love
and
cats.
she will not
touch them.
not pet them. Yeah.
I love all animals, and that's like the worst thing, like not being able to touch them. I'm like, I'm just gonna fucking touch it, and then
It's like, I don't care.
Yeah,
Start
pay
the
for it later.
timer.
Yeah, it's literally I'm like, all right, I touched your cat. We have an hour from the moment I touched your cat
Until outbreak. Good God.
We're gonna do all the things in this hour before I start dying.
Yeah.
It's on the tee. It's literally an hour. Yeah. And so, we will meet and just start hashing out. Sometimes it'll be the points that save the cat points, you know, like, hey,
beat it.
Oh, the
out.
beat sheet.
Like,
Yeah.
we had a lot of beat sessions. We had a lot of like, once we had the first process, it was a lot of like, all right, can we move this into, can we have them do stuff? Well, like, I like this dialogue, or why is this dialogue important? And I think what I've been good, what Camille's great at is she's willing to explain why certain things are important for me to understand why I shouldn't cut them, or why we should keep it the way it needs to be. An example for me specifically, not in the writing, but in the wardrobe department, I will always have a freak out moment about every department at a certain point, and everybody knows that. Roxy had experienced it when I was like 2 weeks before a shoot. I was like, oh my God, the entire Erzulie like look is gonna melt in the water. And she's like, you don't think I thought about that? I'm like, it's gonna just melt in the water.
It's a water movie.
And yeah, so I had the same thing with wardrobe, where I finally got a second and went through everything in detail. And I was like, why is she wearing black? I don't understand. We need to change this and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, there's a reason for this. And she was explaining, because the voodoo priestess, this is what they traditionally wear, and if she were somebody who was trying to follow a certain, this is what they wear. And then because I knew that, then I understood why I had an issue with it, and we were able to compromise and find something that would explain, you know, what she's wearing, but maybe to an audience who doesn't realize that this is something special, you know. So I think that's why we work well together, is you have to have the patience on both ends to explain why you are doing something the way you want. So it's not about I never want to work with, yes, I'll do whatever the fuck you want, people. Like, that's great to a certain extent, but I think good filmmaking is, like you said, it's compromise, and it's working together. So I'd rather someone push back and say, no, this is why. And then I can go back and be like, oh, I see where you're coming from. Well, this is why I'm pushing back.
Exactly. And you have to have that, because unless you can articulate your reasons, it's just like a tension moment for undefined reasons, you know? And it's just like, you have to state your case, and the other person has to state their case. So you can both, as creatives and filmmakers, put those cases on the scale and weigh them to decide together what has to take priority and precedence, you know, because it's like, okay, now we realize together both elements have their importance, and we have to possibly make a compromise because of just physical limitations, and say, well, this is what we're going to do, but now we both understand why we're making that choice.
Yeah.
You know?
So I think that's what I find with, because I work with I AD a lot of newbie directors, and I think that's the biggest problem I find, is that new directors, when they experience pushback, they take it personally. They think I'm being attacked, or nobody wants to listen to me, or if they are very like one track mind with what they want, they think everybody, only they know better and nobody else does, right? I think the really good filmmakers appreciate this actual collaboration and a give and take between all departments, and understanding that every single department is important and their reasonings for everything is important.
And you're not going to be an expert in a department that you have not worked in long enough to reach a level of expertise. So you have to be able to defer to people who you know are just trying to make the overall product the best that it can be, you know, or also save you time or money, or make something as safe as it can possibly be, you know. Like there are many concerns.
But there's no right or wrong. It's just, for me, that's what I value. I like the collaboration. I want to elevate it and between the different departments, and I find people who are willing to do that. You know, I get being so true and so sure of your vision, that only your vision is, that's not wrong either. That's why Wes Anderson's palette is so specific, and he's very much, that's why his stuff looks a very specific way, and that's the Wes Anderson look, because he will not digress from that, you know, type thing. So you just find what works, and luckily Camille and I work really well because we're both willing to take the time to be like, and we both are very opinionated as well and stay true to our opinions, so we're able to understand each other and find a good happy medium. And that's why I would like to keep writing with you.
Right.
That.
Yeah, we'll be on the phone like hashing out script things over this past year, and then my partner Joel will be like, how's everything going after I get off? Because I'll be like, no, listen, the reason it's coming, like, just hold on. Lisa, you're tearing me apart.
You're tearing me apart.
Yeah, like we'll both get very passionate, but like we also both understand that, like,
for the betterment of the project.
Yeah, and we're just trying to communicate. Like, there's no animosity. We're just like really, we get fired up about something that we are creating together. And like when you're trying to like pluck these visions out of your mind and give them to someone as fully fledged as possible, when you're both just trying to envision this future artistic work together as a whole, like, it can feel very high stakes, you know, even when you're just having a conversation about a developmental process. Or, you know, a location of a scene, you know, or some business during a scene, you know, it can feel very high stakes. But yes, knowing that there's a lot of love between us, and knowing that we just want to create excellent art together, and are both just pleading our case for the best of the project, like, so yeah.
But I think there is something to it though, where in the collaboration process, confrontation's inevitable. It's truly inevitable, and sometimes like disagreements happen, and you can't like you don't ever want to start an argument, and you don't ever want to be a doormat to the same argument, if that makes sense. You know, you there's got to be like a balance, and the communication and the confrontation part of it is very nerve-wracking, especially like if you're seeing something that you don't like, or there's something they mentioned and you just never brought it up. So you just have this like deep-seated resentment in this entire set, when you could have just solved it and just said, hey, I actually didn't like that. Or, hey, couldn't we do something different? You know, it's just, there's so many times where I've worked on a set and nobody said anything to me. And you know, I work art department usually, and most of the time, like when you're set dressing, it's, you know, you check in with the art director or the production designer, and more times than not, there's always like changes being made. And there was one set where I literally set it and I walk away, and I'm like, does anybody see what's going on in frame? Like, does it matter? Like, is anybody gonna point anything out? Like, do I need to fix anything? And nobody says a goddamn thing. And then it gets to a point where then the director does say something, but we're already like 4 days into the shoot. We're more than halfway done. And this guy's like, yeah, hey, so a couple days ago, I was watching some old footage, and I kind of had a problem with how you guys set dressed this and I'm just like, we had 12 hours.
Yeah.
We had 12 hours to go. I was standing right next to you. Like, what are you doing? And, you know, it's one of those things where it's just like, oh, you just don't want to say anything. You just didn't want to create that confrontation because you're just too stressed out to, or whatever. It could be an amalgamation of things. But you when you're in the film industry, because time is of the essence. And once you let go of that time and it just flees, that's it. You can't take that back. It's gone.
Yeah.
Not making a decision is making a decision, essentially. Yeah.
Because you chose to opt out of it. You just chose to like, I'm not going to do anything about this. So I'm just going to let this go. And it's just like, oh, okay. So you just don't have any control, nor do you want to. So it makes sense. But also, go ahead.
It just reminded me of something that I read an article about very recently, and it's there's a term for it that I'm going to forget, but it was discussing why employees in a workforce feel nervous about speaking up when they disagree with a policy that has been implemented. And it was talking about it specifically in the context of people returning to the office after COVID and working from home. It is an anxiety that stems from not wanting to signal distrust in an authority figure when you have a disagreement. So especially when you're on a film set and you're very much with the social group of the crew and the cast, because I experienced it as well, just from a writing perspective, production design perspective, especially when, you know, the set is so small, it's very cramped in there for interior, exterior stuff with physical limitations, like trying not to let the air conditioning out, trying not to let the bugs in the door. Like, there are reasons sometimes you don't even want to step onto the set if you don't have to, you know, on some things.
Absolutely.
And so you're weighing in your mind, like, is this an issue? Like, is it going to self-correct? Do I need to step in? Is somebody going to get it? And you don't want, like, you may have a disagreement on something that's happening on the monitor, but there's also this anxiety that stems from I don't want to publicly disagree with a decision that the director seems to be making or the DP seems to be making. I don't want to signal distrust to the group. I don't want anyone to think that I don't have faith in the director. I don't want anyone to think that I don't think the director is competent. I don't want anyone to get the impression that I don't like the job that they're doing, but I have this issue that I have. So in this article was talking about the anxiety that stems from having that conflict and that cognitive dissonance that happens when someone, for example, someone's like, well, you know, my boss is saying it's time for all of us to go back to the office, but like, I'm still very scared about that. And I don't think that that's the best decision for me, but I don't want to signal that I distrust this person, because that also makes you a target for ostracization in a social group as well, which is fascinating, but also contributes to the complex psychological atmosphere on a set like that too. It is just all part of the chaos that makes everything so high stakes feeling, you know, whether it is or not in the grand scheme of things on set, when you have so many people, so much, you know, care and energy and money on the line too.
Because the last thing you want to do is start stepping on people's toes and then nail, and then they're upset with you. But also, Camille, like, you gotta agree that it also requires them on the other side to receive that said criticism and just take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Like, because there's sometimes people just don't know how to. Because I've been a store manager and assistant store manager for retail. Not that I'm trying to fucking brag, but you have to communicate to certain people, and there's certain people who just don't know how to receive said communication. So it's really hard to say like, hey man, you're late again, you know, and then to have that conversation, then it was like, are you attacking me? Like, what are you doing? Well, it's just like, no, you know, it requires them to just take it with a grain of salt and understand that, yeah, like there's changes that need to be made. And especially on these changes kind of go without saying. And it's not that, well, it also depends on the kind of changes, right? You know, so there's always a gray area for everything, but I do think that like it does require the other person to receive that and not internalize it as if the other
As an
person
attack.
hates you, because I've done the same thing where I'm like, oh, this boss hates me. It's like, oh no, they don't hate me. It's just I made a mistake and they're pointing it out.
Yeah.
You know, they don't hate me for the rest of my life because they pointed out one mistake. You know, but for me, I'm just like, oh, they pointed this thing out. I am the worst enemy to them now, and they want me dead. Like that's immediately what I think of, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Like you just have to communicate your struggle, and they communicate theirs, and then you work from there.
Creative problem solving on the fly.
Creative problem solving.
And I think that's also the beauty of why, like, to kind of rein it back, what Erzulie can be so successful is we pick people that we'd worked before, so we worked through that initial, how do we compromise, how do we talk to each other, we understand how we each work. And so we didn't have to go through that process. We knew like, hey, if I want to ask this person some way, I know that I'm supposed to approach it this way, or like if I want, so like we knew each other's little quirks and nuances, and getting past that first day, week long, whatever you call it, gel period, was like very short. And that helped to ensure that we'd be able to finish and shoot our thing in the amount of time that we were able to. Yeah. So,
and that requires teamwork, ladies and gentlemen.
That requires teamwork.
That's right.
Teamwork.
And that's what makes the dream work.
Caring is caring.
You ready to take this bad boy for a landing,
Do it.
Christine?
Crash landing.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the 50th episode. Christine, what a fucking ride.
I'm glad to share it on the 50th. That's very special.
What a ride, ladies and gentlemen. And we're still heavy into Erzulie season 3. We're not done yet. We're not done.
No.
So stay tuned.
Not.
We will be back next week, Christine.
Yeah, probably next Sunday. I don't think I'm on a set. I mean, we're on a set right now, but not right now. In like 2 hours. Right. Yeah. An hour and a half.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the Get Realisms podcast. ErzuliFilm.com, GetRealisms.com. Pick up your book. Go to ErzuliFilm.com. Check our stuff out, please. And thank you.
And for those who don't know, we actually have a flash sale right now for edition 1 of Get Realisms. So
yes,
books are $20 instead of $30.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, woohoo. Yes, we're getting rid of the remaining 20 edition 1 books that we have, so that we can start anew.
Yay!
Start anew. Fuck yeah, ladies and gentlemen. GetRealisms.com. That has been the Get Realisms podcast. Thank you, Instagram. We thank you, Facebook. Goodbye. Goodbye,
Bye.
ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for having us. Yay.